There's little buddy. He's going to go give you a garden tour with me again today. But I've got some scraps here from where I was cooking today, so I'm going to take them out here and show you what I'm going to do with them. Now these are just from lettuce, cilantro, avocados, that type of thing. And I noticed that my moonflowers that I had right here, they were taken over because the roots of the pot that I had here with the moonflowers in it, the roots were going right on through the bottom of the pot, going into the other soil in the tote, and new plants were coming up from the leaves, and I don't want moonflowers in my totes, not where I plant my vegetables. So I pulled that pot out of here. I got the roots the best I could out, and I planted one of the greens. It's spinach, or not a spinach. Well, it is a form of a spinach. It's Swiss chard actually that I put there, but it's kind of wilted down right now. But see, I do have some dirt in there, and what I'm gonna do is just dump that right in there. With the exception, I don't want the tag left on that little bit of cilantro, so I had to pull that off. And I'm just going to throw a little bit of dirt on top of that later. I don't have my trowel out here, or I would do it now. But yeah, I'm just going to put a little bit of dirt on top of that, and then let that all break down and get into all the soil here too as well. So it'll be real good to plant something in for the next planting. And that's the way I'm going to try to do all of it. Plus I'm still putting stuff in the compost pile. But see, there's some melons growing. I just hope I do have some melons before it gets cold weather. I mean, they're trying to put out some because they are blooming. If the bees come and pollinate everything. There as well. And I'm not sure if this is squash, whether it's zucchini, or the other type of squash. But there's a lot of females plants right there, so hopefully I'll get something out of that. And here I've got male flowers on that squash plant. I don't see any females in there. Of course, there might be females on that top part right there. But I do have a melon right there. Look at that. I have a melon, y'all. And I'm not sure if it's a honeydew melon, early dew melon, or a cantaloupe, but it's one of the three. So there is hope. Those are sunflowers right there. And that's greens down there, and my basil. So there is hope. I got that little melon right there, and there might be more of them. I don't know, because the vine is going down behind the totes. It's going back here behind the totes, so there might be more on there. I don't know. I haven't been back there to look. Because you can see it's trying to grow up the side of the shed back there. And it'll probably just go down and go around along the ground eventually. But I do have a melon, y'all. And I came out and watered some yesterday. There's my shark fin squash. I don't know if it'll do anything. It's trying to turn yellow again for some reason. I don't know why. But there's my okra coming back to life. And it's producing okra. There's another okra right there. I've got more okra here. I got more okra right there. And the tomatoes just, I don't know, they don't seem to be going to do anything. The peppers are trying to put out peppers, those bell peppers. My rose bushes are trying to come back to life. They are trying to put out a rose. See there? So there is hope. I may have lost some of them, but not all of the bigger ones. And see, there's buds on that one. Bud right back there. One there. And the peppermint. It's supposed to rain, but I don't know if we're going to get any. And look at, I feel mist right now, but see, this big rose bush has got buds coming on it. So I'm going to have roses before cold weather. There's one right down there, you know, trying to open. Onions. The okra plant right there. More peppers. And my tomatoes they're just not doing good at all. So I don't know. My basil has done better than anything this year. It's all trying to go to seed, but I've dried so much of it already. You know, I've harvested tons of it off of these plants. And I'm breaking off the blooms that are trying to come up the top because I don't want it to go to seed yet. Get those seed pods off, see there? It'll bloom and then it goes to seed, and I don't want it to do that. Right there, that's fixing to be seeds. It'll have a flower, and then it'll be seeds. But then once it goes to seeds, the plant will try to die, and I don't want it to do that. So I keep the blooms broken off so it doesn't go to seed. And I came out here yesterday, and I should have videoed it, but I didn't. And in these pots, where there was nothing or not anything coming up, I went ahead and planted more foot-long noodle beans. I planted some in that pot, the 2 5-gallon buckets back there, that pot, that 5-gallon bucket, that one, that little pot sitting up there in the middle. I planted some in that pot. So hopefully all these foot-long beans will come up and they'll cover my trellis up here before cold weather. Because see here, these things grow good. That's a foot-long bean right there. You know, we'll break it off. See there? Foot-long noodle bean. Just keeps going and going. Look at that. And I've got a couple down here that are not big enough to pick yet. But they'll grow on up this trellis. If given half a chance, they will. Because they were all up it last year. And all up it the first of the summer. Until it got too hot that, you know, they just couldn't do anything. And I went ahead and planted those in a hurry because I want to give them the best chance to sprout, grow, and produce foot-long noodle beans before cold weather. And we're supposed to get rain. Scattered thunderstorms today. Haven't got any yet. I feel a drop or two of just like a misty rain every once in a while. But see, my problem is my cucumbers are making, but look, they're not getting pollinated good or something. And before they can turn into a nice cucumber, and they tell me that's bad pollination right there, but I do have quite a few bees around here. So I don't know what is going on with the pollination to my cucumber here. You know? Because I got bees. They're all over my... and like I said, there's a cucumber there that was kind of misshaped. And I'm just going to leave it in there for... if it produces any seeds, good. And if not, it'll be good compost in the pot. I'm going to put this pan down. But I wanted to show you the update on my cabbage. It is trying to head up. And see, I did spray them right after I saw all the worms eating these leaves. So the worms are off of them now. But you see what they do to those leaves. And the new leaves are not like that because I did spray them. But they are trying to head up. That one is too. Isn't that right, little buddy? He's following me around. He's a garden cat. He loves walking in the garden. Don't you, little buddy? Yeah, he does. And there's more collards. Cabbages. My collards are doing okay, but the worms tried to eat them up, so I sprayed them. But you can see some of the leaves were destroyed by worms. But I sprayed them, and there should not be any worms on them now. But, you know, once they chew a hole in the leaf, that hole's not going away. And there goes my beets. And I'm hoping I got some pretty good sized beets down in there. I can't tell. And I don't want to pull them up yet. Same way over here. My beets are growing pretty good since the cooler temperatures. I just hope they produce some good sized beets. My walking onions, look at those. They're growing, just going to town. A pepper plant up there, tomato plant, my raspberry bush here. I'm hoping my raspberry bush will produce raspberries next year. But see, my bell peppers, look at that. Trying their best to produce me some peppers. Look at that. There's one. There's several here. I'm pretty sure that's a bell pepper, a green bell pepper. There's a couple here. There's some down here. Look at that. So don't give up on your garden. So that pepper bush right there is going to give me a whole pan full of bell peppers. And no matter what I do, my tomato plants are dying. My melons and cucumbers are trying to survive, but barely. More beets. And see, there's one of the melon vines going on across over there. It's coming up on the other side of that gray tote. And here's more bell pepper. I don't see any on it yet, but I see blooms. I do see blooms, so that's a good sign. These tomato plants are still alive, but I don't know if they'll do anything before cold weather. Some of my seeds from here are coming up. So there still might be hope. I know I got marigolds and some other stuff that I planted there that's coming up. Right there, there. The okra plant. Another okra plant coming up out of the... There's some seed there coming up. Marigolds coming up. Marigold there. Pepper plant coming out of the blocks. Got stuff coming up there from seed. I planted so many seed different times till I don't remember what all was in there. I know there was marigolds, there was hot peppers, a bunch of stuff, but I know those are marigolds. I can tell the marigold, but I'm not sure what the other stuff is that's coming up. And see, they're trying to come up. So, all is not lost, y'all. I may be able to pick green tomatoes and some bell pepper by the end of the summer. My clematis is coming back to life. See, there's the purple ones. Got purple up there. And this is a lighter color purple, like a lavender one. Aren't they pretty? And there's one there. That's a clematis. I got clematis all open all the way up here. More trying to open right there, that bulb. And like I said, the clematis will come up every year, and you can harvest your seed after the flowers die. It'll produce more seed, and I harvested them last year. I mean, I'll harvest them every year that they put out seed. Got another bell pepper plant there. My walking onions. Those are the Egyptian walking onions. And you don't have to worry about those. As soon as you can, they walk and they produce bulbs that you can plant. You need to go ahead and plant them. Don't wait till spring, because you don't want those bulbs to dry out. If you let those Egyptian bulbs dry out, they probably won't come up. So as soon as you harvest them off of the tops of these, you know, like I showed you in previous videos how they do, and they'll produce a cluster of little bulbs at the top, and you harvest them to replant. As soon as you harvest them, you go ahead and replant them. Don't worry about the cold killing them, because the plant will die back, and then they'll come right back up in the spring. So don't mess with your pot. Just plant them, leave your pot. From one season to the other, they will come back as long as you don't pull the whole plant up. You can thin them out, harvest some of them, and leave some of them, because they'll multiply. And see, I got a tomato plant there that looks pretty healthy. It might produce a couple of tomatoes before cold weather. There's another one, bell pepper, trying to produce a pepper. And here's one that's producing a bell pepper, see there? And it's got a lot of buds. And this one's got a lot of blooms. And there's a little bell pepper already started. Can't see it too well. I don't think the camera's focusing on it too well. But it does have a lot of blooms. So that'll mean we'll have peppers, hopefully. We've got another bell pepper there and a melon. And see, the tomato plants there may go ahead and produce some tomatoes before, you know, the cold weather. And these are melons, cucumbers, you name it. They're all mixed together. And I've just left them. I said they'll produce whatever they'll produce. Because at this point, I'm not sure which is which. I've had cucumbers and melons growing all together. So I'm just going to let them grow up the trellis or go wherever they want to go. And if they produce anything, I'll have something to harvest. I know there was cucumbers here, but most of the cucumber vines kind of died back. So I'm not sure if all of these are melons or cucumbers or a combination of both. And see how good these pepper plants are looking? These are more bell pepper. I planted gold bell pepper, yellow bell pepper, green bell pepper, and red bell pepper. So I should have a combination of all of it coming up, hopefully. And there's more of my bell peppers. And see, there's a little one started right there. And they're all green to begin with until they ripen up. When they ripen, you know they turn colors. They'll turn their yellow, their gold, or their red. Or in some cases, they'll stay green. And you can harvest them when they're green. You don't have to wait till they turn different colors. And there's more of my greens. I just got through harvesting them not long ago, and this is like more growing to replace the ones that I already harvested. And there's my squash plant. So far, it has not put out a squash. Yeah, those are my jolly green tree collards, I'm sorry. Right there inside the net. Those are my jolly green tree collards. You know, I kept those in the greenhouse over winter. And I did lose one, but I broke a piece off of this, the first one, and I re-rooted it, and that's the one that I rooted right there. And it's come up, and it's got like 3 different stalks on it, 4 different stalks from the main one down there. So they're real easy to root. If you ever get one to grow and you keep it alive, you can break pieces off of it, stick it down in the dirt, keep the dirt moist, and it will root. Start you another tree collard. And see, I am adding compost, food scraps, table scraps, paper, eggshells, you name it, to my compost pile. And I do need to put some more dirt on the top a little bit, along with some leaves, before I add any more food scraps, I guess. But it's not going to hurt it. We're supposed to get rain this week. We were supposed to get rain today, but it didn't happen. And see, I planted some Swiss chard in there. My walking onions. And like I said, these are Egyptian walking onions. And look at these peppers. Look at all the blooms. So they're going to put out some bell pepper. In fact, there's a bell pepper right there. Starting. It's a little one, but it's a bell pepper. So I may have my share of bell pepper this year, where last year I had a ton of hot pepper. And see, there's bell pepper right there. And they're trying to produce. They got flowers, so if they bloom like that, they're going to try to put out a bell pepper. Every place there's a flower, you should get a bell pepper. We need more rain desperately. My poor rose bush here is trying to die, and I've been trying to keep it watered. This is the original tote full of Egyptian walking onions that I planted. The very first ones that I planted. And I ordered them offline. I think there was like 12 little onion bulbs that I got for like $15. I planted them, and I started harvesting the little clumps that come up the stems when they start walking. And that's how I've replanted 2 buckets there. I've got a pot up here. I've got another pot over there. And I've got a pot out next to the green shed over there. So once you buy or plant walking onions, if you harvest them right, you don't pull them all up, they'll come back every year. Because you got to leave some of the bulbs in there for them to come up the next year. And there goes I don't know if you can see that, but there's a bell pepper right there. See there? And there's going to be quite a few more, because look at all the bulbs. I mean the flowers. And there's a little one right there started. There's a little one right there started. So that's why I wouldn't let my plants die. And see, there's 2 of them started right there, little tiny ones. But those are 2 bell pepper. There's one here, another one here. You got some up here. And they may end up being little, I don't know. Depends on how much water I can keep to them. And I've got a bell pepper up here that's trying its best to produce bell pepper. Because it does have little buds on it. So, and I gave up on my eggplant this year. My eggplants are just not doing anything. And like I said, I'm leaving that okra on here, those big pieces of okra. I'm going to leave those. And that's going to be my seed for next year. And like I said, every time I cut a bell pepper or a hot pepper, I save the seed out of it. Now see, there's one of my orange bell peppers. That's already orange, and it's just started. So we know that one's going to be orange. And this one down here, I don't know. Well, it's green so far, so I'm not sure what color that's going to be. But that's kind of strange that it's already orange. But who knows, maybe that's the way it does. Have no idea. And I do have yellow squash trying to grow. If they survive. I got a couple down there. We'll see what happens with them. And this big old monstrous pepper plant, look at there, it's got peppers in there. I don't know how many. Oh, there's another one. Look at there. There's 3 or 4 bell peppers right there. There's one here. So it fell over because it's so heavy. I need to stake it up so it doesn't fall. Keep falling over that way because I can't see the peppers on them. But anyway, you can see there's several bell peppers on there already. There's another one fixing to put out peppers. That one's going to put out peppers. This one will put out peppers. There, look at that. A bell pepper, y'all. There's a little one up there. 2 little ones. So all I'll have to do if I harvest enough of these bell peppers to can, I can chop them up and make a relish and add just a couple of jalapenos to them or hot peppers, because I don't like my chow chow too hot. I like it mostly the milder pepper. There's more okra coming. There's one there I need to harvest and get the seeds out of. See, when it turns brown like that, that's when you should harvest it and get the seeds out. Put them in a little paper envelope or something to store them for the winter. I was trying to get over here to see this pepper. Yeah, it's got... That's what got one down in there. There it is. And this one has a couple of little bitty ones. Look at that. They're so tiny you can't hardly tell they're little peppers yet. And I got new tomato sprouts coming up from the bottom. So, see, the tops of the tomatoes are still alive. So, There's still a chance that they may produce grape and cherry tomatoes before cold weather sets in. And this one too, it's kind of scrawny, but it is still alive. So we'll see. We will see what happens. And my tomatillo, I think it's gone. It didn't do anything this year. I mean, the plant grew pretty big. And I've been keeping it watered, but it's just dying back. It don't like these little bit of cooler temperatures, I guess. And there's my basil there, you know, that I already harvested. And there's a tomato coming up from the roots there. Another pepper plant. So I don't know. I'm going to put this down right here. Hopefully it will stand here while I take this bowl of compost tea that has come out of that tower, and I'll go ahead and water that tomatillo plant again. I mean, I don't think it's going to help it. I think it's already gone. It just has not had the right climate, the right weather for it this year. So I really don't have any hopes for it. But you just never know. Let's see if I can get this tripod fixed so I can hold it here. Sorry about that, y'all. Yeah, we were supposed to have a thunderstorm by now, but it's not raining. And see, I got that tomato, I mean not tomato, but the rose bush. That's one of the pink ones, and that's a pink one. But the white one over there is dying. So I don't know if any of it'll come back. I may have to just reroot another one. This one's putting out more leaves, and it's trying to put out buds to bloom some roses. So, and this one I'm not sure of. It might come back from the roots. This big one's trying to come back. See, it's already trying to put out more roses, I'm sorry. I need to trim off the dead part. And this one, it was growing so good. It was even putting out more shoots from the roots. And it just looks dead, unless some of the root is still alive. Like I said, I'm going to leave it there until the spring and wait and see if another shoot comes up from the roots. Because sometimes it will. You'll think the rose bush is completely dead, and you'll dig it up and all of a sudden find that there was another sprout coming up from the root. But there's all my basil and stuff I've been keeping on the back patio here. And see, there's my moonflower coming up in my peppermint, which it shouldn't even be there. I got yellow squash here. My Swiss chard. Marigolds along with moonflowers. Yeah, all those that I pulled up from here, I think they were, I thought at first they were sunflowers, but they weren't. They were some of those moonflowers right there that had dropped seeds. And there goes my new trellis that Bloomin' gave me. the little bird at the top. I can always tell when a squirrel has been around. My tool is pulled down a little bit. I need to put bird seed out. And see, I moved that big pot out here. So that way I don't care if the roots go out the bottom of the pot. It'll just go out the bottom of the pot and go right into the rock garden where I want it to go. So I'm just going to leave that there for right now. If it starts raining a lot, with the temperatures cooling off, I'll probably go ahead and dig a hole, take it out of the pot, and just put it in the ground. But right now it's just been too dry. So I'm going to leave it in the pot for a while longer. Yep, see, a squirrel has been up here. See how clean he's eating the bird seed out of there? I need to put more bird seed in there. And as soon as they lift the fire ban, maybe we'll come out here and build us a fire. And I've got ivy growing. And some people might think that's poison ivy, but it's not. It's a harmless ivy, this is. I mean, I did have poison ivy out here at one time, but not at this rock garden. I had it over there at those tree stumps. And I broke out all over from my head to toe from poison ivy. And I've never had poison ivy in my life before until then. But where those trees had been cut down, the fungus got down in the bottom of the root of the tree and started producing poison ivy, and it grew up the tree trunk. And I just thought it was a harmless vine. I didn't realize it was poison ivy. So I was out here one day just pulling all that vine off of the tree and pulling it up from in around the tree on the ground. And by that night, I was breaking out. I was broke out all over and itched to death from poison ivy. But there's my moonflowers. There's my greens, my Swiss chard and kale coming up. I said, well, other stuff just didn't want to do anything in here this year, but I said I can always use more greens, so I planted my greens out here. And see, I'm going to have to reroot some more rose bushes, because my little rose bushes, like I said, unless maybe that one has a live root down there, it's gone. I'm going to have to root some more rose bushes and replant them if I have roses there. This one is still alive, but it's in a pot. Does need to be watered. This was the last crepe myrtle that I planted. I don't have any hope for it because I don't think it got enough water. But like I said, I'm going to leave it here till the spring and see if anything comes up from the roots. I mean, my other crepe myrtles, see those over there closer to the carport, have already turned green. Isn't that right, little buddy? Those have been there long enough, and they put down roots deep enough that they survive through the summer. You know, they haven't bloomed like they should because they haven't had enough water. This one here is trying to bloom. You can see the deep pink flower. And there's some up toward the top. But usually, if they get enough water, they're just full of blooms. It looks so pretty. I'm just glad they survived. And this one survived. Barely, but, you know, hey, it did survive. So I'm glad for that. That rose bush has survived in that pot. The one I planted there is gone. From what I can tell, I've only got 2 rose bushes left here. That one that I planted, and it seems to like it in this spot. It's evidently getting some water down there. But that one, I don't know. The roots still may be alive. I don't know. My yellow rose is barely hanging on. And this one, I don't know. If there's any root alive, we'll see in the spring, because I'm not going to dig it up. I'm going to leave it there till the spring and see what happens. So I've got 2 rose bushes I know that are still alive there. Ain't that right, little buddy? Ain't that right, huh? And here is my, if I can remember the name of it. Oh goodness, I cannot remember the name of it. But they grow up almost like a stalk, and they put out these beautiful flowers. I planted them in the rock garden one year, but they must have got the seed mixed up, because it was not these that came up. It was some kind of vine that came up. But I replanted this year and made sure that it was the right seed. But now I just can't remember the name of it. And there's my Clematis there trying to bloom. It's got a bloom right there. It's got a couple of blooms up there at the end. They got blooms up at the top that you can't see because they're on top of the trellis. That's a purple one. And then we got the mandevilla on this side that has not bloomed yet this summer. I don't know how big it's got to be before it blooms. But all I know is that it has not bloomed yet. So we'll see. Maybe it'll take till next year before it blooms. Or it might not be getting something it needs to bloom. I have no idea. But it's up to there anyway. Almost halfway up the trellis. So. And I still got a tomato plant trying to hang on in there. I don't think it's going to do anything. I just wish I could remember the name of these. I finally remembered the last video that I showed it. But now I've already forgot it again. But see how big it's gotten? I mean, there's several plants of them in there. There's like 5, 6. Well, there's like 4 good sized plants of it in there right now. So that's a good deal. Man, if it just rains tonight or tomorrow, look at that. He's all tuckered out. He says it's been a long day. It's been a long day, he says. Yeah, it's been a long day. And there's my mums. All of them are trying to open. That my subscriber sent me. I'm going to put those out in the rock garden here in the front, but I'm going to wait. I'm not going to put them out there yet because it's just too dry. And see back there, I've got that other pot of Egyptian walking onions. I got my little mother of millions. The other mother of millions right here. Or mother of many. It's known by 2 different names. Mother of many and mother of millions. And my crazy aloe vera that just wants to curl up. And I've been keeping water on it. And see, my insolent plant, it does not like hot weather. It does not like hot weather at all. So really, the insolent plant is for colder temperatures than Texas. Or at least it's not good for the hot temperatures we've had this summer. Because my plant grew beautiful last year. And it'll come up every year. As long as you just leave it. You don't dig it up out of the pot. Yeah, hopefully it'll be pretty next year if I keep it alive over the winter months. And I've got a melon or squash or something growing here. It's trying to grow across the peppermint. Yeah, for the life of me, I can't remember what that is. The name just leaves me. But at least it's pretty. Hopefully it'll bloom. It'll bloom before cold weather, and I'll see some pretty flowers off of it. And most of the stuff that's in my rock garden out there, it's all died back now, like my daylilies, the Mexican plant that's out there. All of that stuff will come back up in the spring when it starts raining. So I wasn't worried about it dying back. The bulbs will still be there. Like that Mexican plant right there. I've got it all throughout the rock garden. The last time it rained pretty good, it revived that and it started coming back to life. But we haven't got any more rain, so. Ain't that right, little buddy? Huh? Ain't that right? He said, yeah. And that little crepe myrtle has survived. You can see it has tried to put more leaves back out. Hopefully it'll come back in the spring, because it's really suffered this summer. And I'm hoping this will come back, because so far it's not trying to put out any leaves or nothing. I'm hoping in cold weather I can cut it back and I'll have more sprouts that'll come up from the roots down there, hopefully. I need to put more water in my little fountain right there. The birds come there and drink water. Even the big birds go there to that and drink water. And there's my peppermint. And I've got it's like a tomato plant growing right there. Look, that's a tomato plant. I don't know if it'll do anything. So far that rose bush is still alive, halfway alive. It's trying its best to put out more leaves, but I mean, you can see right there it's sprouting new leaves. So there's hope for that one. Part of it may be dead, but most of it's alive. And I need to fill up my hummingbird feeders. Looks like they're running empty. Usually when they look like they're empty, they're still just a little bit in the bottom. You'll have to heat up some water and make some. Yeah, see, there's still a little bit there. And I think there's a little bit there, but I need to heat up some water and get some sugar in it. And I hope the cat doesn't get up there and knock that over, because I want to put water in the fountain. And the dirt, it just dries out so fast. What do you think, little buddy, huh? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to water that rose bush in the pot. I'm going to go ahead and put more water out there to those moonflowers too, and the stuff in the wishing well, because I didn't get to do that last night. And I will be right back. See, I can turn this to show the moonflowers that I'm getting ready to water. And the stuff in the wishing well. I mean, all of those moonflowers in that rock garden would have been so pretty this year if I could have kept them watered. I mean, all of them, my whole rock garden was full of them, and they would have looked just like that if I could have kept them watered out there. But it was impossible for me to carry enough water to water that whole rock garden. So I didn't even try. So it's getting late. You can see it's getting dark out here. So please like, share, and subscribe to my videos. And me and little buddy, we'll see you on our next one. Ain't that right, little buddy? Huh? He said, yeah, it's right. Hey, little buddy. Kitty? He's ignoring me. He's ignoring me. There he goes. He said, we'll see you on our next one. Bye.